I don't know. I've listened to a lot of perspectives. I've listened to other podcasts kind of debate that concept and what their feelings were. And like I was again very surprised to hear the negative feedback that comes from a performance like this. And I start questioning like how much is it based on expectations from him specifically, and how much is it
Mhm.
based on the small attention spans that we now have and the expectations for theatrics during performances to make us feel like we got our money's worth.
Knowledge and the talent that my mother had born to her equals a duck. What is it, Trey?
Yo, man, that's the formula.
Do you think that the warm weather impacts your motivation?
No, I think the motivation remember how we were telling you about our plans for the next year?
Like to travel and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's really the motivation. It's like, okay, if that's my plan and like I've been picturing kind of where I want my life to go, what I want it to be like, what I want my days to look like, and also just like thinking a lot about what my life is right now and like what's bringing me stress, what's bringing me happiness, this and that. And like the overarching thing keeps going back to what I've kind of known my whole life is that like I'm not made to have somebody be overseeing me. Like I don't like the fact that people have control over me, that, you know, a company pays me and I have to rely on that specific payment. Um, so it's really just about, like, giving myself freedom more so than anything, like, I don't think it has the weather, obviously, like, yeah, I wanna be outside, but I guess in that piece, it's like, well, I have to come to this job instead of, like, I could do my job at the coffee shop, or I could do my job at the beach, or I could go here, and not having that freedom. It comes down to freedom at the end of the day. But yes, I guess the warm weather is involved with that.
Well, what's the travel plans have to do with that? Like you're saying you'd be able to do that if you had the freedom of not working for someone else?
Yeah, yeah, just like I don't
Oh,
think
I gotcha.
yeah,
Like
like I
working while you're doing that travel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't wanna just be traveling and not working. Like,
Yeah.
I want something that, like, I can, spend some time each day, but I look forward to doing, you know? And,
Yeah.
like, some one of the businesses, yeah, I would like to, like, not be touching it at all,
Yeah.
but, I still feel like I need something in my day to day that I'm, like, managing and, but also, like, something to be proud of too. I think, like, I also too, like, when you look at when you can create a business, we've talked about this before, but you get to create it how you wanna create it and pick the tools that align and work for what you need, and that's not the case when you're working for someone else. They tell you what tools you can use, what access you can have, and this and that, so that, like, you have to work within the parameters when if you build it, like, it's all up to you at the end of the day. Like, it's your fault if it doesn't work, though, too.
I feel like the creative elements play a big role in that for us too, because we
Yeah,
want to build a brand that we support and that represents the service or product that the
yeah,
business provides. I think the pendulum is starting to swing back for me too, because there's long periods where I recognize it's just grind time and I have to work
mhm,
on or I have to work in the business,
yeah,
and SEO isn't inherently the most sexy of services, but
yeah,
whether it's with this podcast, whether it's with the website for Visible, whether it's, these little creative pursuits messing with the logo for the brand,
yeah,
it's always something that is enticing to me and feels so much less like work. I
yeah,
often bitch to you about sometimes just the editing of this podcast. And again, it's not like we're doing anything super extravagant or that I'm making any big design changes, but although it takes time and it will suck up a whole night, like, it's so fun for me to be
Yeah.
in Riverside and listening through our conversation and, chopping parts up and
Yeah.
working on where the logo's dropped, and
Mhm.
especially since I've been working with Marco and now his brother,
Mhm.
I think I never have really known what a creative director is or what the responsibilities are. I know it probably varies by company, but I've always seen myself as someone with a good vision for how things
Mhm.
should be built and how things should be designed. But there's always been a bottleneck for me of having the person that can be in
Yeah.
my brain and do the things that I'm wanting to be done.
Mhm.
And I know that that's going to get closer and closer as time goes on, but I definitely see myself in a position creatively where I can just make
Yeah.
the creative decisions, and whatever the product or service of the business is might be handled by someone else who's an expert in that product type. I know it's kind of a tangent about like the creative part of us building the
Yeah.
business, but I just I don't know. I'm kind of in that position right now, and like the warm weather I think plays into that too. Like the
Yeah.
pendulum is coming back of feeling like I'm working on fun stuff that
Yeah.
still is truly work, but um doesn't feel like it as much.
But I think that's the piece that, like, is so exciting, exactly what you're saying. Because no matter what you're in, like, challenges are going to be there,
Hmm.
but when you were talking, what I was thinking about is, like, Steve Jobs. I love him, I love his book. If you read that book, you really understand, one, yeah, he's an asshole, this and that, but, like, what he was doing was creating creative conversations and pointing out creative challenges, and then, like, bringing people around him, even though he didn't have the talent to build it, to think differently and to, like, find a way, and, like, that's that's exciting to be part of something to create. Like, I one reason why I loved making videos is you had an idea or events, whatever it was, you have this idea and then you get to see it come to life. And, like, to do that with a business and something that you really care about, you don't get tired. And I was looking at my day to day and I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm exhausted all the time and I shouldn't be exhausted. Like, I have the energy to go do a million things, and, like, I like going and doing a bunch of things, but I'm like, this day-to-day thing that I have to show up for, with this extended period of time, just wears me out, and then I'm not able to, like, enjoy my life in the ways that I want to, and to focus my energy in the creative things that get me excited. So, finding a way to make that happen, I guess.
Well, and even one step further for you, I have to imagine that exactly what you're explaining in like the Steve Jobs example of creative conversations and then kind of getting to see those personify. You worked in a world before Salesforce, before Schneider, where it was entirely based around conversations about stuff that seemed impossible, that were completely creative or creativity driven, that somehow got brought to life, and then took a step back in a sense of now you're in someone else's world and working at Schneider, picking up a skill which again has its benefit and its purpose. But
Mhm.
I imagine that since you've already kind of gotten that taste, it might make this in between phase a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I would definitely agree with that. I think, like, there's always interesting conversations no matter what you're in, and, like, challenges that could challenge you creatively. I do think in the world that I'm in right now, like, at such a large scale, like, I'm working with enterprise companies, they're I think where the disconnect for me is they're not in touch with necessarily, like, the brand and, like, what it actually means. Like, I like that in a lot of small businesses, you're talking with people that this is their life and the brand, they are the brand and the business, and that excites me too. And like to have people that are proud of what they work on and like what it is that the company that they're in, I think that's super exciting. Um, so I think it's hard when you're talking to people where like they work in a company that's the size of mine and it's just like, yeah, I work at this company, but that's not me.
Well, there's a double-edged sword in that too, because what you were explaining about the passion people have for the business and the product and the brand that they represent, that can exist too in a company of your size, but that's almost what the, C-suite executive level people prey on,
Yeah.
and maybe your specific company isn't an example of this because it's not necessarily a lifestyle or product for diehards in a specific industry,
Yeah.
but in situations I've been in, I have experienced where, people are lifers at the company and the people employing those people live for that because they'll give you their all. They find that their personal values are intertwined with the values of the business.
Yeah.
They'll give them, a decent set of benefits and they'll give you enough to not really question what exists outside of that world that you've found yourself so intertwined with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting because even, on the flip side, like you mentioned, the seemingly grass is greener on the other side version can also suck. So
Yeah. Yeah.
building our own thing, it kind of seems is the answer regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hear you. I feel like I miss also just being like, all right, I'm gonna pull an all-nighter because I want to get this thing done. And I'm so charged up about it that it has to get off my chest right now. And like when you work for somebody else, like sometimes you have to be like, I have to make the decision. Do I keep going and like now I'm gonna have 3 days fucked because I won't be able to sleep after this? Or, you know, do I go to bed right now because I need to get up in the morning and be there for this time?
When you also get like salty at some point, you're like, this isn't my business. Like, why am I busting my ass for someone that doesn't even
Yeah.
care about my well-being? Like, I think we've always known that
Yeah.
is the case. And when I think about you, obviously we knew this was going to be a leap for you. And we talk about like the ebbs and flows because there is a big value that you're getting from working in this business. And just
Yeah.
for context too, before I hit record, we're just kind of dusting off the conversation about us working together again and what that
Right.
could look like. But I don't know, I can tell that you're in a place where it's getting back to a place where you're like, yep, I got what I needed out of this stuff. I feel confident about channeling that into a
Yeah.
service or product of my own. And again, every time we kind of inch closer and closer, like the conversation gets kicked on the curb. We work on our other things separately for a little bit. We stay
Right.
on our own trajectory. There's things that I'm unhappy about in my business space, and there's things you're unhappy about in your business space. And I feel like we're kind of, just like riding along next to each other and like slowly getting closer
Yeah.
and closer to our breaking points.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in the grand scheme of the effort that we've been putting in the time frame, I
Yeah.
still feel good about the experience that we've gained and what the
Yeah.
outcome will be once we, do finally
Yeah.
meet paths.
For sure. And I do want to say, like, this place has, like you said, it has helped me specifically with the things that I wanted to learn how to do and how to be great at. I think now I'm arguably, at least in my mind, and maybe not on paper, or like maybe other people wouldn't say this, but I feel like I'm probably one of the best at doing the, initial outreach that comes along with that. And I've worked with great people that are great sellers, and I've seen how they operate and how they approach things, and that's just given me a lot of confidence, and, I I'm very thankful for all the people that are around me and stuff, so I'm, still wanna learn from them, so but who knows what's gonna happen. I'm just, like I'm excited about what's out there, so
I wasn't meaning to, like, speak negatively about
yeah.
that experience either. This was, you
No,
know,
no, I
the
sure.
the conversation that we always have about, like, how much are you gonna read the book before you start, like, implementing it into your day to day. I think we're both in similar positions of, we take big leaps and we take specific leaps and we
Uh-huh.
have these specific goals, but, there's I think we're in the phase now of putting our money where our mouth is, and
Mhm.
things won't happen if we don't make them happen for ourselves.
Yeah.
So, again, that's why I appreciate these conversations because it's stuff I think about subconsciously all the time. But, once you put it out into the universe, not that anyone's watching it, but we got to hold ourselves accountable if nothing else.
Yeah. It was cool also, I just keep finding, like, myself in conversations with people that, like, have the same mindset or, are working towards, getting to a space where they feel comfortable fully, like, going on their own, and it's interesting right now, I think for so long I've been around people that are in the world of us, like, where it's, digital and, kind of just out there, like, things for the internet or whatever it is, where it's not, like, tangible, and I keep finding myself in conversations with people that have tangible service-based businesses. Like, I was talking to a guy yesterday that was talking about how him and his wife have a business where they have, like, a maid service, down in Florida, and, like, how fast it's grown, and, like, how you intertwine digital with the real world, and how that, can progress so quickly, and he's like, "Well, now we wanna get vertical with and, we wanna get, integrated throughout because he's in Naples where this service is. He's like, "Well, now I wanna buy a window cleaning business and, a pool cleaning business and then fully get integrated with these people because now they can just come to me and I have all the services that they need." And it was a funny line that he said to me too. He goes, "Plus, down there, even if a house gets foreclosed on, another rich person just comes in and they need the same shit." So, like
Good point.
yeah, and I was like, "Damn, that is a good point."
Have you considered maybe that example isn't relevant, but would you ever start or open a brick and mortar based business?
Yeah, um, I think, like, the non-sexy businesses are pretty sexy to me because they're simple. Like, obviously, there's, like, a lot of challenges that I have no idea about, but I think the idea of having a simple business that performs a service and you perform it very well, um, is cool to me. I don't think, like, I would want a retail business or, like, a restaurant. Maybe a coffee shop. I think a coffee shop would be sick. Um, but that's because I like coffee and I like the experience. I think most people like the experience of going to a coffee shop, but, like,
Yeah, valid.
it's yeah, and I feel like it's hard to find a coffee shop where you're like, "Man, that service sucked," and if you did, like, they had to be bad. Like, it's more about the vibe you create in there, and, like, it's like, it kinda can be slower, which is cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just was curious. That was even my example was a coffee shop thing. It's something I had written down today because
Mhm.
I I mean, especially after talking to Dondo, there's such a separation between what we do in these
Yeah,
fake businesses, for lack of better words, because we're just basing it around online services and like cool guy shit and like stuff that
yeah,
you can't physically show up and use. But I don't necessarily have interest in starting a brick and mortar business as a moneymaker, but I do
mhm,
think it would be cool to start a coffee shop or
Yeah.
Maybe a restaurant, I think there's more boxes to check there, but Caroline and I had this conversation a few weeks back because it's been on my list to start a coffee shop just in general for years.
Mhm.
I don't have interest in being the A to Z guy, like, I don't wanna be the
But you wanna come chill and have good coffee.
I mean, kinda, and I wanna strike a balance too. I have a mentor of mine who is mostly in the SEO space now, but has had a couple coffee shops that he's
Mhm.
created or purchased and ultimately sold and got out of the industry because of all the reasons that Caroline also was kind of warning me why it didn't make sense to get into that space. But
Yeah.
I would want to strike a balance between like curating a vibe, which maybe sounds insane and just like a rich person thing to do, but and pair with someone who's an expert in the bean sourcing and
Yeah.
the hiring and the build out of the business itself. And maybe this doesn't necessarily have to be a coffee shop, but that same, creative desire that I have and want to attach to an
Yeah.
SEO agency, I think would be even cooler to attach to something I can physically stand in.
Yeah.
And the same goes for a product based business. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, especially because that's another evolution, I think, of our friendship and, business partnership ultimately. But finding a version of being able to apply a version of what we've learned to something that's e-commerce and product based that's not just a
Yeah.
t-shirt company.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, I guess, what my lane is with that kind of stuff, but it's been on my mind lately.
Well, I think, like, exactly what you're saying, especially with the coffee shop. There is just something so attractive and so cool about, like you said, creating a vibe. Yeah, I think of when I used to throw events, like, that was one of the most fulfilling things to see somebody come into a space and enjoy themselves in a way that they didn't really get to enjoy themselves in different areas. Um, and, like, how fulfilling that is to see somebody having a good time and, making someone's day better. I think that's, like, something that is missed a lot in the world nowadays, like, especially people don't even meet in person, they do video chats like this, like, I know when we get together and have a real conversation, yeah, our conversations are good here, but, like, speaking in person is always even better, so, um, but yeah, and products, I think same thing, like, it's the same way, like, Dondo was talking about someone coming into the hair to get a haircut. He's like, "I'm not gonna claim I'm the best barber, but I hope that you come in and have the best experience." And, like, that's why you could tell when he was talking about that, how exciting that is to him and why he loves it, like, he's like, "I wanna talk to every person in the world," and that's cool. I think that's cool. It makes you remember why people are so great in a world that wants to pit everyone against each other, so
Well, and going back to the event planning thing, I think that we're people who pay lots of attention to detail,
Mhm.
and the experiences that you had specifically in event planning, I feel like you find so many things that you can do to so many little things that you can do to enhance an experience. Of course,
Yeah.
for an event, there's, put the logos on put the logos in various places throughout the event space,
Yeah.
structure it so there's like a certain experience as like you're walking through the venue.
Yeah.
I think that mindset just like doesn't discriminate for us, which is why we like appreciate branding and like how a website is structured. And I think it's like what gets me excited as well too. And like I've barely gotten my feet wet with that honestly because it's just a
Mhm.
rabbit hole I haven't gone down. There's always been people around me who are better at it than me. But I'm interested to get your perspective, but I am considering hosting a annual park basketball tournament. Don't know if you
Okay.
saw my post on Instagram for that, but I
Did
started
not.
thinking about it doing it around my birthday, which is in I mean, like 2 weeks from now, but I was thinking about one, it would be cool just to get all the homies together to play basketball. Like I have varying skill level homies at basketball, like an insane amount of variability, like guys that are insane and guys that would go
Yeah.
out there and have fun but not contribute too heavily. And we're getting to that warm season where everyone's like, let's play park basketball. Like everyone's always down, but we never actually get it together. And then one day I was like, well, what if I, hosted something this year for my birthday? Just try to get 10, 15 guys and get a crew together. And, we could just have a speaker out there. People could come and watch. And then I was like, well, what if I made it, an annual thing? And I found a park I could pair with. I could
Yeah.
hire a DJ. I could hire like little vendors to kind of like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
curate the full experience to have it be some, like Drew League, like
Yeah.
Park, New
Yeah.
York, Chicago basketball type shit.
Uh-huh.
And my brain has just been going crazy thinking about it now. And I don't think it's going to be anything that extravagant this year, but I think that relates to this conversation about like attention to detail with planning. Cause I'm like, there's a lot of little stuff that we could do that would be so easy that
Yeah.
would just make that a unique
Mhm.
experience and something that people don't really have, at least that I know of in
Yeah.
Minneapolis. So
That's dope. Wait, so okay, now I gotta learn a little bit more about this. So first off, when are you thinking? I know you said like in 2 weeks. Like, is it not this weekend, the weekend after you're thinking?
yeah, so let me look at the calendar. Like May 8th is my birthday.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm dragging my ass with any planning of this. So, not this weekend, not next weekend, but the weekend after. It would be on that Saturday, potentially the 9th.
Okay.
I posted on my Instagram story, like who would be interested if I put this together. And I did get a lot of responses, but again, that's what I'm trying to suss out this year. Maybe would just be with the close knit homies and would have people show up and we just
Yeah.
make teams on the spot, but the evolution of that could be, sign up with 5 guys. It's a one-day tournament. There's different slots. Like I got people we can hire refs. Like,
Yeah. Oh, you got refs even on?
I mean, not necessarily for this one, but like we could. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's so many little things we could do to make it feel like a real
Yeah.
event. Like I don't want it to just feel like
Hey, I
people
might
showing up at
be
a
getting the
park.
team together now. I'm gonna have to
Hey,
check my schedule for that.
yeah. Oh, well, like I said, I don't know that it's going to be big this year, but if it's something I wanted to actually do, which I do actually want to do it ongoing, it's just a matter of how
Yeah.
for real it is this year. But I'm like, damn, that would be fire. Like no one else that I know puts it on. I don't think it would be that much work. I need
Yeah.
to find a park. I think that's the big thing. Cause I want to do it outside and I don't want to
Mhm.
just pull up somewhere because I want it to be like somewhat sanctioned. And I have like a big network of refs from when I used to ref. So like maybe
Yeah, I
we
forgot you were a ref.
maybe we don't need refs, but I mean, maybe just to, like, have
It could
someone organize
even
the
for
game
the
a bit
first
better.
even for the first one though, you could just say like who's ever off, you have to select one person from your team to ref. Um, I know we used to do that for other tournaments, but that's sick. That makes me think of one of my mentors here at work. He was like, you got to find whatever your hobbies are, you just got to make those into little businesses and little fun things. He's like, that way you don't have to pay for it. Like, you like basketball, just start a basketball league or whatever.
I
But
feel like I have
that's
such a
cool.
better, relationship with basketball right now too, and, like, I'm not setting this up claiming to be,
Mhm.
claiming to have the team that's gonna take everyone down necessarily. I just am like, I got such a wide spread of homies that play basketball that there could be
Yeah.
some competitive games, there could be some non-competitive games, but, like,
Yeah.
everyone's families pull up, we got food, we got music,
Yeah.
like that'd be such a
Yeah.
fun experience to curate around something that I have such a deep past with.
Okay. So who's your squad right now?
Who would my squad be? Um, see, that's what I don't know. Like, do I go and just get like all the D1 homies and just like go
Yeah.
crazy, or do I get the people closest to me that are
Oh,
solid, but
you gotta try to win, like, it's your tournament, you gotta
no,
try
I
and
know,
get a
I know I
win.
gotta try to win. I gotta get some of the OGs to dust off the cleat. I feel like all the people who are probably the most talented play the least,
Yeah.
you know?
You get Jeremy on there?
Yeah, Jeremy refuses. Jeremy is insistent that he can jump higher right now than he's ever been able to jump.
Believe it.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably healthier than he has, like I know when I knew him, he had, like, a really bad hip injury the whole time I met him, and he still had the most bounce out of anybody in the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah, that dude is a freak of nature.
Yeah,
But
but
start assembling your squad, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year. If it does, the complexity of it, but I'm definitely eyeing it for future years. So,
yeah, keep me posted. I'm gonna bring a bully squad. You know, I wanna be like the Monstars, basically.
but we're gonna have to do drug tests. We're gonna have to do all that. So make sure your
But
team is
my team
clean.
will probably be high, all of them.
That's all right. That's performance enhancing, but we will allow it.
Yeah, yeah.
We will
That'll
allow
be
it.
funny too, like, to
We
be
can
in an
partner with Bloomin', and they can provide sideline cush for the players.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
But that was just a little something I had on the planning front. I have a few other items here, though. I know we keep talking about one of us like preparing. Obviously, we get into conversations so organically. It's maybe a moot point at this point to like truly plan stuff. But there's some specific things, and it does suck because it's hard for us to stay timely when we're not recording every week. I've noticed like a few of the items I have on here. I'm like, okay, everyone's opinions on this shit is like well documented, and we're a little behind the ball, but
Yeah.
I still think good conversation pieces nonetheless. And one of them is Coachella this past weekend and the previous weekend. I was having flashbacks to when we were in Chicago for Lollapalooza. Now that they live stream performances and the online viewership is a little different than it's been in past years. I
Yeah.
think last year they posted, I mean, I don't know if this is the same for Lala, but for Coachella for sure. Last year was maybe the first year that they posted full streams of performances. And then
Mhm.
before that, they'd post snippets and things. But it's like if you weren't there or you weren't watching a video from someone who recorded it in the crowd, you
Yeah.
weren't getting the experience that you now can.
Mhm.
But before I kinda get into the purpose of that topic, did you catch anything Coachella related in the past couple weeks, or what has been your
Uh,
consumption of events?
so I didn't watch any of the performances, but I did read a lot about JB, you know, because 'cause I'm a believer. Uh, and then, like, some of the girls in my office were talking about, "Oh, Tate McRae and this and that," but I don't know shit about them. I really only know about JB and him just making the most wholesome and best performance, which I do wanna watch that performance.
Yeah, it's too late, but that is, like, primarily what I wanna discuss. Now we went through weekend 2, which I never knew Coachella, or maybe I just didn't remember that it was 2 weekends. Maybe
Yeah.
this seems more prevalent now that we can watch the streams of it, but it's crazy to me that I guess not crazy again, it just maybe feels redundant because we can watch it both times online, but the fact that
Mhm.
they perform 2 weekends in a row and in
Yeah.
some cases have different sets, some maybe don't, but I don't know, I guess crazy and somewhat redundant to run it back, but the Justin Bieber thing is the big thing I kinda wanted to bring up. So in his first week's performance, for those that didn't see it, there was first of all, to set the stage, first time he's performed in a long time outside of the Grammys
Yeah.
as a believer myself, I'd say. Hope no one clips this shit out because 'cause we're gonna look crazy, but, I've always rocked with Justin Bieber. I mean, we talked in depth last week about the art versus the artist,
Mhm.
and I think he kind of plays a role in that conversation as well, just in the ups and downs he's had in the past 15, 20 years with mental health and public scrutiny and the things that he's went through publicly, and being a person who can appreciate all different genres of music, but someone who's a singer-songwriter and that can perform well in an organic environment without theatrics.
Yeah.
I think that his performance that first week at Coachella perfectly matched my expectations, and he's gotten a little pushback on it. And before I even again give kind of the context here before I give my opinion, but there was a 20-minute or so portion of his set where he just ran through old YouTube clips. I don't know
Hmm.
if you saw
Hmm.
any pieces
Yeah.
of this at all, but he literally was live streaming it, was on YouTube and just kinda searching up his hits and, like, singing over the top, of songs like "Baby" and "One Time" and, like, all those
Yeah.
classics.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt that him coming on stage, 1, even outside of that part of the performance was they felt it was fairly lackluster where he was just kinda walking around with the mic and singing, and there wasn't anyone else on stage besides him. And then
Yeah.
they felt like it was kind of a throwaway part of the performance where he's just searching stuff up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'll give my perspective, but again, you said you maybe haven't watched the performance, but what are your thoughts about his usage of that time and some of the criticism that people have given to that performance?
It's interesting you say that. Maybe it's because I'm like on the believer pages where they're like showing love, but I think so. I've seen Justin in person before too, and there's always so many theatrics around him, and like, he has his backup dancers and this and that, and like, to me, I don't think that is a true connection with your fan base at times. Like, it's sick sometimes. Like he does a good job at it because he's like obviously been doing it for so long, or like a Justin Timberlake, could do that too because they have the dance moves to go along with it. But like, I think of Lil Baby's performance at the same festival where I saw Justin. He had all these theatrics, and it was just like so, in my opinion, bad because it just like was wasting time and not like getting that like true authentic self of them. Um, But I thought, like, that idea was the best idea in the world because, like, you could shout out what you wanted to hear and maybe he'd perform it, or, like, it was him really, like, going through a time lapse to show, like, here's where I came from and this is where I'm at now. And I thought it was, like, something so creative and so out of the box that no one else has ever done or thought of that I know of at least. And maybe he found it from somewhere, I don't know, but, like, to me, I thought it was, like, showing how versatile he is even and, just really being able to connect with his fans in a way that he probably hasn't felt like he could for a long time because everything's probably so regimented with a set list and, all that stuff. So I thought it was a great idea. I'm I wish I would have been there. I'm mad that I wasn't there. So like, I don't know. What do you think though?
Before I even give my 2 cents, that
Hmm.
perspective, how much do you think being a fan plays into that? And do you think just as an outsider, as a music subjective,
Yeah.
do you have any differing opinions, or do you think it's something that you could appreciate if someone who you weren't as much of a fan of would do?
I, I think like say AC/DC or somebody else did that too, where they just were like, all right, put it up. I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna play it better than I'm gonna play it as good as I would have played it if I would have performed or practiced. Like I've done it so many times. Like, and then go out there and just be raw and authentic. I think that would have been cool from anybody. I don't think it, matters if because I'm a Justin fan, but I think like anybody that can be that versatile and, that true to their craft, I think is cool. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot because, yeah, I mean, at first, my timelines, of course, were just covered with all of the positive feedback and people stoked
Yeah.
that he was even there to perform.
Yeah.
I So Caroline and I went out with some friends the night of that performance, and obviously, if you're on social media, everyone's talking about Bieberchella, Justin Bieber's performances tonight, and we went out and got some drinks with some friends, then we went back to their place and ended up just kinda, like, scraping through other performances from that day, like Dejan
Yeah.
performed, Sabrina Carpenter performed, which again, an example of a lot of theatrics. People appreciated it. I thought that was great as well. But
Mhm.
he didn't come on till like 1 AM. So we kind of joked about, staying up and watching it, and we didn't. And we ended up going back to our place. And then I came home and in bed was watching Geese's performance, like just with my headphones in. I don't know if you saw that they played Baby by Justin Bieber,
Oh,
but
really?
I'll have to send you that clip. It's so good. A lot of people had feedback for that too, but those people are wrong. But and it ended up coming to, 1 o'clock or whatever when Justin was performing, and I watched the whole thing, no context, no opposing opinions, and was, like, so surprised to see that people had the feedback that they did because Justin Bieber fan aside, like I said, completely
Yeah.
matched and exceeded my expectations. One, I've always been a person to appreciate an acoustic performance, specifically by Justin Bieber or
Yeah.
anyone that has a singing voice like he does. So outside of the YouTube portion, the fact that, his mic was on, quote unquote, like all the millennials like to say, uh, but he's just like singing along in, perfect pitch to
Yeah.
all of these new songs that we've all been jamming to for the last year and
Mhm.
some change now. And then he brought on Dejan for one. Dejan
Okay.
and McGee were all over the last album, which I'm like a super fan of. So of course, bringing Dejan out is gonna fire
Yeah.
me up. He brought out Leroy, which was like a cool performance. He brought out Thames and Kid to perform as kind of like Afro beat songs, and then
Yeah.
he finished with bringing out McGee for Daisies, which, like, you already know that I was gonna be hyped about, and then I thought the YouTube portion was the cherry on top. Like you said, I thought it was a very unique and, like, first of its kind way to rinse through
Mhm.
this long catalog of hits without having to go through them all A to Z and, like, waste a bunch of time on the set. So, I don't know. I've listened to a lot of perspectives. I've listened to other podcasts kinda debate this that concept and what their feelings were, and, like, I was, again, very surprised to hear the negative feedback that comes from a performance like this, and I start questioning, like, how much is it based on expectations from him specifically, and how much is it
Mhm.
based on the small attention spans that we now have and the expectations for theatrics during performances to make us feel like we got our money's worth.
Yeah.
And I even drew comparisons to that Kanye show that just happened. He had performed at SoFi,
Yeah.
and we were blown away by that gay performance where he's standing on
Mhm.
top of a globe that's,
Yeah.
smoky and looks like it's spinning, and he's on top of the world essentially. But you take the you take the cool set design away, and it's like a pretty unexpected performance, for lack of better words. So I'm like, it's a very like, I don't know. I think that they were very similar in the fact that his set design maybe wasn't as cool as someone like Kanye's was.
Yeah.
We feel the performance is too stripped down and have negative feedback about it, which I think is
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, I think, like, probably and obviously, I don't know Justin, but I would guess, like, you think of the last album that he put out and what him and Drewski are talking about on the album. A lot of it's talking about trolling and, like, kind of having more control over his life than he ever has before. He's not working with Scooter Braun anymore. He's not working with all these people that are constantly telling him how to do every single thing, and I'm sure he had, like, a lot of creative control, but at the end of the day, he wasn't fully running his own shit because he was looked at as a kid, you know? And I think like I think he probably is just kind of like, all right, now this time I'm gonna do it on my terms and I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. And I think he probably is just like trying to figure out a way to get out of the boxes that people have put him into. So yeah, I don't know how you could hate on it personally, but like I think there's just people that are gonna be mad about everything. And like you said, even with Ye's performance, like if you get rid of the set design, like he is kind of just chilling there, like, you know, being raw. But I think even one thing that I was thinking about when you're talking is you go to a lot of concerts nowadays, and half the time they're like not singing, or they're just like, I don't know, they want the crowd to do everything and this and that. And in my opinion, sometimes I go to a concert and I'm disappointed because I'm just thinking that this isn't authentic and raw. This isn't like how I would want you to show up. And maybe that's just my own feelings, like being like, oh, I want you to do it this way. But I think of, especially with rappers, like you go to a rap concert and they say like 4 words out of the whole song that they play. And it's people just chilling. And, you know, if you're getting up there and singing every word and, you know, performing in a way that is true to you and like losing yourself in the music, like I don't think you can ask for a better concert. But I didn't fully watch it, so maybe he didn't do those things, but that's just what I heard from it. So
And that's why I'm a baby Keem rider because
yeah.
when he toured for the Melodic Blue,
Hmm.
I've been to a zillion shows, all different genres, all different artist types, all different capacities. Top
Yeah.
5 of any shows I've ever seen for the exact reason that you're explaining, because one, that album was amazing. So I was like really excited to see that show in person.
Yeah.
But you talk about matching expectations, creating an atmosphere around each of the songs that you're performing, but also
Yeah.
seeing the intentionality. Tyler is very similar. Tyler, the creator, is
Yeah.
very similar. Like, especially when you see them rapping the songs that they wrote, you
Yeah.
appreciate the lyrics and every,
Yeah.
breath that they take and every gap
Hmm.
between verses and like the reason this was put behind the
Hmm.
beat. And Baby Keem is a prime example of that. And even now there's clips coming out. His show is here in May and I'm like so stoked. I've been telling all my homies like you gotta buy tickets, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But he performed or he posted the live stream of the listening event when Baby Keem's latest album Casino came out.
Hmm.
And I watched that start to finish before I ever listened to a single song on the album. And
Hmm.
every song, although like the set design is very low level, it's kind of like Ye-esque, where he's like standing on what looks like a rock kind of hill and he's like raised above everybody.
Yeah.
But he plays the album start to finish, of course, but there's like a little bit of a vibe shift for every song that plays. And I don't know how much you've listened to that album, but like Good Flirts, for example, is the kind of like R&B song with Momo Boyd and Kendrick. And during
Hmm.
that part, they're just like sitting crisscross applesauce on stage, like just kind of like
Yeah.
vibing and singing along. And then some of the songs that are more like rap heavy, there's a camera following him around and like getting the perfect angles, and he's like rapping everything to the camera. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. Again, like I don't need a theatrical set design, like, just based on the authenticity thing that you're saying, the
Yeah.
performance should match the intentionality behind the music, and that shows up different for different artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That shit I think is just so good to me, and, like, I think in
Yeah.
the Justin Bieber example, it came through perfectly.
Yeah. And I will agree with what you're saying too when it comes to Baby Keem and Tyler. Both them lose their shit on stage. Like it's so it seems like they are authentic to whatever they were feeling at that moment. Tyler though, I mean, he obviously has the theatrics. Like think we've mentioned this in the past, but he's so cool to watch performing because you know a lot of it is staged, but he also is like being raw, but at moments you're like, okay, is he just being himself right now? Or is he
Crazy.
performing? And it's like such a mix of both, but I think they like because he's so rehearsed, he can be so raw in it. Um,
Good way to put it.
but Baby Keem, I watched him. I didn't really know much about him when when I saw him, and I have like photos from that event where he's like, you can just see spit flying out of his mouth because he's just rapping so hard, and I was like, okay, that's how you fucking perform. So
I think that Tyler cracked a very unique code of the blend of being performative and being raw.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like, he's, like, kind of a performative person, and I say that with a not with not a negative connotation. He's
he's a
just, like
performative male.
he's just he's just, like, an insane guy through and through, and he truly,
Yeah,
truly, truly believes in himself and everything that he says, and,
yeah,
like, he's on stage and he's, like, fucking around, but him fucking around has such a cool product in the end, and it's
yeah,
so fun to watch on stage, and he enunciates everything, and you
yeah,
just, like, see the, like, words personified in the actions that he's doing on stage, and Baby Keem's similar. I wanna maybe I'll drop a there's a specific clip I'm thinking of, from the Baby Keem show that's, like, I always show people when I'm trying to pitch them on coming to a show because it was at a venue that was debatably smaller than he should have been playing at in the first place, and luckily I got a comfortable seat. To be honest, I'm kind of concerned about being in GA for this
yeah.
next show because 'cause I'm like, "Fuck, I'm just gonna be in it." I already know I'm gonna have to be in it.
Really people.
Dude, yeah, I don't have desire to be in a pit at this age, but, um, I don't remember where I was going with that, but oh, what I was gonna say is, so we saw the Keem show at the Fillmore. I think 3 or maybe 6 months later, he opened up for Kendrick at the Target Center, I think it was the Target Center, and
Mhm.
he played the same set, and my other buddy Trent was at the Kendrick show, but not at the Baby Keem show, and I've never seen anyone take I've never seen an opening act take over a full stadium like he did, and it was
Yeah,
with the same show and set design and, like, performativeness that he had at the Fillmore show, so to
yeah,
see that scale and still get the same point across is, like, I don't know,
yeah,
super, super cool to see, so obviously this stuff translates as people get bigger.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, plus, like, he's so intertwined with Kendrick at this point now, I feel like if you're a Kendrick fan, you're a Baby Keem fan because, I mean, they're on everything together too, so
But I'm not going for slander about their intertwinedness because everyone's like, "Oh, Kendrick put them on." No, do some
no.
research.
No way. I mean, I saw a quote from Kendrick the other day that said, like, he's had so many people, try to like cousins and family that does music that try to get his help. And he's like, he's the best person. He might be better than me, you know,
He's
like,
just like a nerd. Like I always root for the nerds. And like you
yeah,
watch that documentary from Casino or just listening to him speak in general, he
yeah,
used to just be like a hermit for years and years and years, like playing Minecraft. And he used to have like a Minecraft YouTube channel.
yeah,
And the nerdiness he had for stuff like that, he eventually translated into music production, which
yeah.
led him to start making music and the inevitable growth, but I feel like the Kendrick association I always hear. Yeah,
I personally, I know they're related, but to me, I never even think of that because Baby Keem to me is just so good. Like I've ran through the Casino album so many times. Melodic Blue is like one of my favorite albums ever made. So
yeah, it gets better with each listen.
yeah, I almost just started rapping some of it.
Um, have you gotten a chance to watch any of the episodes of the Benny Blanco and Lil Dicky podcast?
No, I have not.
You haven't seen anything about it either?
No, you told me about it the other week, but I haven't watched any.
So they started probably a couple months ago. They started this podcast that they argue every episode about if it's actually a podcast or not, but they're essentially at Lil Dicky's house and there's just cameras throughout his whole living room and kitchen.
Mhm.
And it's Benny Blanco and it's Lil Dicky and it's Lil Dicky's wife. And one, their dynamic is insane. So that plays a big part into how I think this thing can even exist. But it's, in my opinion, and I guess their opinion too, the first of its kind in like the medium that it's using, with it being so uh
Almost like reality TV-esque
yeah,
in, like,
reality
bubble format.
TV-esque, casual.
Yeah.
Um but it's become one of my favorite podcasts, and the reason why I bring it up is because they're starting to bring guests on now too, so you get to kind of see.
Mhm.
They just had Wiz Khalifa, they had Kevin Gates, they had Ed Sheeran, which on the Ed Sheeran episode, they make a song. They make,
Yeah.
like, a banger of a song in, like, 15 minutes, it's pretty wild. But I always had, and again, the reason I bring it up is I had such a similar concept, and I think we've talked about this in the past, of having some sort of, like, open world concept podcast that's
Mhm.
outside of a confined space.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that I think I'd love to do one day and highly recommend checking out.
I will have to check it out. I know you mentioned the Ed Sheeran one the other week, so it's on my list. Oh, also, I forgot to mention about something that we were talking about earlier that's kinda similar but different. A guy at my work was telling me, because I put him on to Geese, and he's a music savant, like, he is in a band and plays a bunch of instruments. He was saying that, a few of the guys are getting together. Who else is on it? But they're making an album, uh, and he said, like, he was listening to some of the, like, live streams that they were doing for it, and, like, how they're putting it together, like, the videos that they're making while they're making these songs. I'll have to get the details and send it to you, but I figured you'd be interested in it. And he said that it's some of the recording sessions, so he's like, "It is actually insane how good it is together," so
Are you saying that it's, like, publicly posted
yeah.
content?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it like Cameron Winter and, like, Justin Vernon?
That would make s
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I saw, like, inklings of something similar to that, but it just being, yeah, like a random blend of a group with some of the people in Geese you said were involved.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit. You'll have to put me on. I feel like I always the behind the scenes of how stuff gets made is always up my alley, so bring it on.
Here, I'm looking it up right now.
I just looked up Justin Vernon and Cameron Winter, but that didn't come up. I also wonder if it maybe wasn't Cameron Winter, but someone else from Geese.
Yeah, let me ask him, and I'll get back to you and let you know. But yeah, he was like, it's this was his explanation, and this is my interpretation of him. He's like, "It is fucking insane, bro. You gotta listen to it."
So
So,
you tried to put him on to Geese, but he already knew about them?
no, I put him on to Geese, like, few probably, like, 7 months ago. When you,
Nice.
like, introduced it to me, I was like, "Oh, I know you'll like this." So I put him on, he's like, "Yeah, I listen to them every day now."
They have a weird cult following. I feel like I rinsed all of that music, and there's so many memes online even now about, like, the people in the obsessed with Geese fandom space,
Yeah.
but
Wait, did I introduce you to Geese, or did you introduce me? Because I think my friend went to I think where I heard of it was my friend Connor saw, like, a live performance or a free performance in New York.
well, my
Anyways.
first time bringing it up to you, I can't remember if you said, "Yeah, I know about them," or if you're like, "I'll check them out," but the first time I mean, I heard of them for a minute, but the first time I listened to Getting Killed, their last album,
Yeah.
was when I FaceTimed you when I was in Michigan snowboarding, going up the, like the T-bar lift.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going through that album for the first time ever, and, like, I stopped playing it. That's like, I remember it so vividly on that hill to call you. So, if it was before that moment, then you've got me
Yeah.
beat, but
Yeah.
I was kinda late
Anyways.
to the party too. I'd seen so much stuff about him, and it is kind of a daunting group to get into because some intense songs, and there's some songs that are tough to get through at times. Like
Yeah.
I always think back to when they played SNL. I was over
Mhm.
at my friend John's house and or John and Lou's house, I should say, but I was at John. We were watching UFC fights or something, and SNL was on that same night. I knew a Geese was performing, and as I was getting ready to leave, everyone else was already out, also getting ready to leave. So we're like putting our jackets on in the entryway, and the TV is like right there. And I'm like, guys, like you gotta watch this Geese performance. You gotta watch this Geese performance. And they played Trinidad, which
Uh-huh.
is like their opening song that they're like, "There's a bomb in my car."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And everyone was like, "What the fuck is this song?" And I mean, in hindsight, super sick video. I watch that video all the time, and it's one of those like punk rock moments where they're like, "We're gonna play our
Yeah,
most
yeah.
insane song on SNL because why not?" kind of a thing. But I just
Yeah.
remember convincing like 8 people to watch this, and they're just like screaming on stage. But yeah, Geese is the shit.
No, I hear you. There's, like, one song off that last album, I forget which one it is, but every time I'm like, "Damn, should I skip this or do I listen to it?" But,
Probably that one.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. I have a couple other items here. I know we're getting towards an hour. Um, Anything that we need to follow up on? Are we gonna try to record again this week?
Yeah, tomorrow,
We are gonna do tomorrow.
unless you can't make it.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. I just have to catch a flight early on Thursday, and I haven't like even packed or anything yet. So
Alright.
we'll see how much I can get done during the day. It's something I was gonna mention to you, even not necessarily on here, but I found my key to success throughout the week is a Monday morning lift.
Mm,
Again, not rocket science. We've talked about morning lifts in nauseum on here and the importance of like
yeah.
productivity throughout the day. But a new unlock for me the past few weeks,
Mhm.
every single weekend, my sleep usually sucks because I stay up late and like drink or
Yeah.
whatever. So I just am not recharged Monday. So I'm always like, Monday. Honestly, I get better sleep during the week than I do on the weekend, which kind of seems backwards. But
Really?
yeah, because I'm like, if I get to bed a decent time, I could wake up at 9 o'clock. Honestly, if I want to, it just probably won't be that productive of a day. So typically, Monday morning, I sleep in to try to catch up. But I found that if I suck it up, power through Monday morning, and get to the gym
Mhm.
Monday, and then have a super productive day Monday, the
Mhm.
whole rest of my week is smooth sailing.
There you
So
go.
your boys dialed in, and all it took was waking up a little more uh,
Monday morning
early on
lift.
Monday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be huge by the time we link again, so just be
So
prepared.
is that the focus now, is to be KCI Lift Miller again and then, like, bike on top of that? Like, are you trying to get big or what?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to get big, but I'm trying to build a lifting foundation again that's supported by cardio. And especially now that the weather's changing, I'm kind of just getting lifts in as much as I can. And then we'll
Yeah.
probably lift 2 or 3 days a week in the summer and then cardio things otherwise. But my
Feel that.
time to work out is going to get smaller and smaller with golf and all that stuff. So,
I hear you. Yeah, I've recently, well, I told you I was doing the Pilates, but a lot of people have been asking me about jujitsu and boxing and stuff like that, and I've been getting the itch. Like, now my ribs healed, so I'm not really worried about it, but for a while I was. I'm so getting the itch to start fighting again, 'cause I've been watching videos and then talking with people, and I'm like, "Yeah, I missed that."
Yeah.
So, I gotta figure
Would you
out how.
ever consider just boxing and not doing jujitsu?
I think that's what I'm gonna start with first, that boxing and Muay Thai. I wanna learn Muay Thai because, like, I think that'd be you can really fuck some people up with Muay Thai, so boxing, though, is the coolest of all the sports to me, though, because it's like you have the most swag with it, like, it's very much an art form that you can, like, be kinda flashy and, like, dodging a punch, you feel really fucking cool when you do that, I can't lie, so if
Dude,
you
we
know how to
saw
slip. Huh?
Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
No, if you know how to slip and get somebody, like, or even when you come in, maybe they're punching you and then you just uppercut and you just kinda step back or, like, go into the next thing, that you feel cool.
We went to the LFA Fights this past weekend,
Mhm.
and I'm just looking up this card so that I can oh, damn, they don't even have it now that it's over. But there's a couple good fights in the main card, but there was this one, probably like the 3rd to final fight. Oh, hold on,
Mhm.
it is loading because I gotta call this dude out so you can look him up. Steve Collins, this dude, he's now 7-0, but he was this,
Mhm.
uh he was this black dude fighting against this Mexican dude, and they both were sick boxers. It was, like, primarily an on-foot fight, and we
Yeah.
were in probably the 3rd row, and the 1st row was what I'm assuming is his family and friends and his girlfriend, and the whole fight, they're, like, up, yelling, they're, like, yelling at the other guy's corner, like, flipping him off when he's, like, walking back to the ring and stuff, and he at one point, again, we're in, like, the front row, and he has this guy, they're, like, in the clinch, but he's, like, up against the cage, and he's, like, looking over the other guy's shoulder and, like, blowing kisses to his girlfriend in the front row. She's, like, on Instagram Live, like, "That's my baby!" It was so funny, and he was just piecing him up. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So fun.
Damn.
Next, so we gotta find a time to work it out where you can be here for LFA fights because you would love that.
Yeah. Hey, is there one the weekend of your, basketball tournament?
I'm assuming not because there just was one and there's usually like a few months separated.
Yeah, I would love to go to one, and your boy just got signed to the UFC too.
He did. He just lost his second fight in the UFC. Well, I guess yeah, we watched them together. Fuck.
No, no,
What are
I'm
we
talking
talking
about
about?
Gable.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's my boy, but it would be interesting to see.
Well, he just got signed. He's
Yeah,
gonna
he
be a
did just get signed.
he's gonna be a beast there probably, so, I mean, when you're Olympic gold wrestler and then you can fuck someone up on the ground too, or I mean, on your feet now too, and trained by John Jones.
Yeah, he's pretty scary to see in person. It's wild watching someone that powerful fight.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, that's pretty much all I got.
Alright, that works for me. Well, next week I get to interview you then, or tomorrow, whatever you decide, so have fun in Florida,
Yeah, I
relax.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
I want to find a time for us to record while I'm there too. So maybe if we don't get it tomorrow, then we'll find a time while I'm there, depending on what your schedule looks like.
that works for me, man. I can do that. I'm
All right.
basically free, so
All right, brother. That sounds good. We'll talk to you.